a brief overview of who are our people, our holy disruptors for this week. On your left is James Cone. And James Cone was born in 1938. He was a Methodist Episcopal minister in AME. It's one of our African Methodist denominations. And theologian. He grew up in segregated Bearden, Arkansas. It's spelled Bearden. Who knows how they say it? And his family attended the African Methodist Episcopal Church. He got his Bachelor's of Art from Smith College, and then he got his divinity degree and his PhD from Garrett Evangelical Theological Seminary and Northwestern. That's where I went to school too. And then he went on to teach at Union Theological Seminary in New York City. In 1969, he wrote Black Theology and Black Power. He is the initial force to write, the definitive Black theology and Black church work. His message was that Black power, as defined as Black people asserting their humanity that white supremacy denied, was the good news, the gospel in America, that Jesus came to liberate the oppressed and advocating the same thing as Black power. He argued that the American white churches preached a gospel based on white supremacy, antithetical to the gospel of Jesus. Audre Lorde, on the other side, was born in James Cone wrote and taught until 2018 when he passed away, returned to God. Audre Lorde was born in 1934, was an American writer, professor, philosopher, intersectional feminist before intersectional was a word people used, poet and civil rights activist. She self-described herself as Black, lesbian, feminist, socialist, mother, warrior, poet. And her life was dedicated to this, to her talent and life and talents to confronting different forms of injustice. She believed there was no hierarchy of oppressions, and that those who share the goals of liberation and a workable future for all our children could work towards that together. I copied some things from Wikipedia, so it's very long. She was named the Poet Laureate of New York in 1991. She wrote essays, was a public speaker, wrote on feminism, liberation, lesbianism, illness, disability, the exploration of the Black female identity and body. Lorde was first diagnosed with breast cancer in 1978 and underwent a mastectomy. She wrote her cancer journals during the time in which she was ill and seeking treatment. She continued to write, and she was the Poet Laureate in New York until her death in 1992 when the cancer had metastasized. I encourage you to look for their writings, both of their writings, and we will hear a poem and the voice of Audre Lorde in a bit after our song.
Beneath the bushel Good morning. Our scriptures are found in the First Nations translation. The first one is in Acts chapter 2, verses 22 through 24. Stands on the rock, Peter cried out, "Listen to me, you men of the tribes of wrestles with Creator, Israel. You already know about Creator sets free, Jesus, from seed planter village, Nazareth, and about the powerful signs and the wonders he performed among the people that prove Creator was with him. Creator knew before it happened that the tribes would use the power of the people of iron, Romans 9, to have him violently killed by nailing him to a tree pole, the cross. But the maker of life let you have your way with him, because he had made a plan long ago to bring him back to life. Creator sets free, Jesus, was released from the painful grip of death, for even death itself could not hold him captive." Our second reading is from 1 Corinthians chapter 15, verses 1 through 4. "Now, my sacred family members, I want to talk to you about the good story. I was the one who told you the good story, which you took to heart and continue to stand firmly on. This good story will set you free and make you whole as long as you hold on tightly to the truth of it. If not, then your faith would have no meaning. This is the first and most important truth I have passed on to you. The chosen one died for our bad hearts and broken ways, just as our sacred teachings foretold. The chosen one was buried, and on the third day his dead body was raised to life, which our sacred teachings also foretold." Our last reading is from Luke chapter 10, verses 25 through 28. "A scroll keeper, one who was skilled in his knowledge of tribal law, came to Creator Sets Free, Jesus, to test him and trap him in his words. 'Wisdom keeper,' he said, 'what path must I walk to have the life of the world to come that never fades away, full of beauty and harmony?' He answered him, 'What is written in our tribal law about this? Tell me, how do you see it?' The scroll keeper spoke from the words of the law. 'You must love the Great Spirit from deep within, with the strength of your arms, the thoughts of your mind, and the courage of your heart. And you must love your fellow human beings in the same way you love yourselves.' 'You have answered well, Creator Sets Free,' Jesus said back to him. 'If you walk this path, you will live.'" So ends the reading for the day.
Actually, the title of this poem, as I always like to announce, is A Litany for Survival number 42. Only so that we should keep in our consciousness the fact that survival is not a one-time decision. It's not a one-time act. It's something that goes on and on and on. And you make a commitment in the same way I make a commitment to myself. I make a commitment to my working. I make a commitment to my survival and to being able to see it wherever it occurs. A litany for survival. For those of us who live at the shoreline, standing upon the constant edges of decision, crucial and alone, for those of us who cannot indulge the passing dreams of choice, who love in doorways coming and going in the hours between dawn, looking inward and outward at once, before and after, seeking a now that can breed futures like bread in our children's mouths, so their dreams will not reflect the deaths of ours. For those of us who were imprinted with fear like a faint line in the center of our foreheads, learning to be afraid with our mother's milk, for by this weapon, this illusion of some safety to be found, the heavy-footed hoped to silence us. For all of us, this instant and this triumph, we were never meant to survive. So when the sun rises, we are afraid it might not remain. When the sun sets, We are afraid it might not rise in the morning. When our stomachs are full, we are afraid of indigestion. When our stomachs are empty, we are afraid we may never eat again. And when we are loved, we are afraid love will vanish. When we are alone, we are afraid love will never return. And when we speak, we are afraid our words will not be heard nor welcomed. But when we are silent, we are still afraid. So, it is better to speak, remembering we were never meant to survive.
Friends near you on little tables that are perfect for your water or your coffee, if you happen to be near one, are little cardboard pieces and mark. I invite you in our microphone situation. Promise. We'll get this organized, figured out. To write your own little sign, maybe a little protest sign, maybe a quote you love. You may see that we've started collecting them by the back door. And so we will collect them. Just leave them and we'll collect. If there is something that strikes your heart, if there are words that are important, if there's something you want to say that can fit on a tiny little card. This is a sermon that's a little afraid, but it is better than be silent. There is an old parable that I'm sure you've heard before. 3 or more folk are standing around an elephant. Each one of them are blind. And they only have access to one part of the elephant. So the one at the side says, "It's a wall." And the one at the head touches the ear, says, "It's like a fan." And the one at the rear touches the tail and says, "It's like a rope." I saw one that also said it was like a mouse. All having their own perspective, each one right, and absolutely incomplete in their understanding. The problem comes because what if the one that was on the side of the elephant, the one who sees the elephant at the wall, feels the elephant as the wall, has some friends that he can gather around him, and they agree with him. And now, the 4 of them standing at the side of the elephant, declaring it a wall, like a wall, are shouting over everyone else, declaring that the only way to think about an elephant is like a wall, because they are the only ones that understand elephants. Now, for hundreds of years, Christians were told the story of Christ, of God, from only one side of the elephant. Mostly the side of the Holy Roman Empire, which was Germanic, and, I got this spelled wrong every time, monarchical, they were kings, and male. Last week, when we were looking at members of the early church, of our mothers and fathers, there was, I don't know where he went. I think he's back. No. There was one who is named, he's often named Black Moses. He came from Ethiopia. So there was a diversity in the earliest days of the church for its first handful of centuries even. And yet, as time went on, it was one version, one side of the elephant of Christianity that began to create an empire, that translated and interpreted the scriptures, that began to write all of the books, that taught each generation after another. It was one side of the elephant of Christianity that began to paint pictures of what Jesus might look like. And it's important that they had a Jesus who looked like them, but maybe that one's too small. It kind of started to be that this was the way everyone saw Jesus. Can you see Jesus in the back? We'll try again. Wait, I forgot. Uh-oh, there we go. There are portraits just like this Jesus all over, churches all over, at least around this country, maybe around the world. These three were found in a closet when we were cleaning up during COVID, tucked away so we didn't have to think about them. And I know that this image of Jesus is very important to many people. And I know that the community of this congregation, at the very least, understands Jesus came from the Middle East and probably looked more Middle Eastern than, say, Norwegian. I did have a whole thing about this painting. It was painted in the 40s. It became this marketing campaign almost. Its follow-up picture, by the way, by a different artist is the one we have in the hallway. So let's think about that one too. Let's say in the 50s, as time passed on, education became more and more common in the world. Our world expanded, we became more connected. Let's say by the 50s and 60s, there was a realization that not everyone read the Bible in the same way. Not everyone approached God, Christ, Christianity from the same side of the elephant. That maybe God is bigger than an elephant, and it's time we stop shouting down the people who are at the ear or the trunk or the tail or the feet. Now, James Cone's iconic work of Black liberation theology is one such person. He writes unapologetically that Jesus is Black, a statement that is both the idea of Jesus likely having some African blood in his body, and that as a Palestinian Jew under occupation, he would have been oppressed, marginalized, impoverished, that Jesus would have experienced the kind of things that the Black communities in the U.S. experienced over the centuries. In his final work, Dr. Cone connects the cross of Jesus to the lynching tree of the 18 and 1900s, and the cross to the fence posts in Laramie, Wyoming. It's a call to white Christians to see that there are still crosses all over the world today, whether it's ICE arrests or detention centers, mass incarceration, the treatment of indigenous people and land, ending support of trans kids. There are more. It's a call for white Christians to see where we participate in systems of oppression or where we have benefited, even unknowingly. It is investigating our own whiteness and investing in learning from people and experiences that are not our own, from a diversity of people and perspectives. The painting on the right is a South African painting where the man with the spear was a government official in apartheid South Africa, looking at the cross as those who were under apartheid. And the second to the two middle ones are by an artist, iconographer, Kelly Lattimore. And the third one in there is the Jesus under the rubble, painted the first Christmas after this current invasion of Gaza. So there are those who are offering us images of what it might look like to see the cross in the world today. Ooh. Now, Audre Lorde, in one of her essays that is often quoted, said that the master's tools will never dismantle the master's house. They may allow us temporarily to beat him at his own game, but they will never enable us to bring genuine change. And this fact is only threatening to those women who still define the master's house as their only source of support. She was writing, and it was a speech also, particularly about the overturning of patriarchy and women's place and role in it. She's suggesting that women can't just enter into the same roles that men have always had, the patriarchy has always had, and do everything in the same way the patriarchy always has. If we do it that way, we will make change for a little while, but we will never overturn the tables, and we will never change the system. As it is with patriarchy, it is with racial supremacy and heteronormity and all systems and structures that are used to occupy and marginalize people. And it is easy to mock the images of our past as silly, to pretend that it is the foolishness of people in the past. And it is easy to put the ideas and the paintings and the hundreds of years of teaching that were passed down to us in a closet, on a shelf, and pretend that they don't exist anymore, that they don't influence us or impact us, to pretend we've moved on. But there are still people dying. There are still people being run over by the systems we pretend don't exist. There are still people being lifted on crosses. And it doesn't go away even when we put it in a closet and let it collect dust. The sentence before the one Audre says about the master's tool says, "It is learning how to take our differences and make them strengths." Because we have to envision a new way to make a new world. And this new world is one that is embodied and embraces the fullness of each person, allows each person to contribute their gifts and their passions. A new world that is vulnerable and intimate and truthful and speaks truth, everyone's truth, and allows what they say to be truth, even if it is different, even if they are coming from a different side of the elephant. It is, I think, the new way of the world that is revealed in the way of Christ, When he speaks of the coming of the kingdom of God, it is a way of compassion and generosity, of spirit and justice, of empathy and love. It is caring for your neighbor and being a good neighbor. It is turning over tables of the way things have always been, of the systems of power. It is painting a vision of the world where all can be cared for, where all have enough, where all are seen and all are loved as the children of God that they are. And it is personal, and it is communal, it is cosmic, and it is lifelong. And it is what we will be doing all of our days until kingdom come. So we must wonder, what do we do with these? Because I'm not sure we can just put them back in the closet and pretend they aren't part of our story, part of our history. But I wonder if we could reimagine them. The Church of the Annunciation in Nazareth invited artists from all over the world to create images of Mary. And so they sent in their huge art pieces of Mary, done in their own skin color, their cultural dress, their own design styles and artistic styles. We're going to go through them fast, but if you search for it, these are all there. They were imagining Mary and Jesus in a way that is a gift to everyone, someone who could be interacted with in any place. That's the one who's pregnant, is the one from the United States. That rainbowy looking one. So I wonder, could we reimagine our little Jesuses? Could we make art out of them in a way that expresses how we see Jesus in the world today? Could we invite local artists or artists we know? Maybe we could collect some of the other Jesus pictures that are similar and invite people to express, experience, reinterpret, envision a new way, knowing that this Jesus, 1940, painted by William S., is still there. It's still part of who we are. It's still part of our tradition. We still carry it with us. But it's not the only voice we hear anymore. So what if we recreated and reimagined Jesus that we see here into someone who reminds us of the other perspectives, of the other voices? What if we interrogate where we see this Jesus who was given to us through these centuries in our own lives, in our own church, and we reimagine him into something new? Think about it. We have 3 to start with, and we know some artists. Friends, in that way then, let us sing. You can stay seated, please.